Hello and welcome everyone to another Slitherine Twitch stream. I am Surtur from Slitherine and today we'll be playing Asia's 30 Years War, the game just released today, covering, as the title suggests, the 30 Years War. So we're going to take you over the basics of the game, how to play it, what kind of content does it offer, and really what kind of game is it. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, any feedback, please type it here in the Twitch chat and we'll cover them as we can. So, Asia's 30 Years War, like I said, it's just released today on the Asia website, Slitherine website, and Matrix website. Clicking on the banner right below this stream will take you right through the product page where you can get a whole bunch more of information about the setup of the game, the kind of content it offers, the type of scenarios it offers. It's a great way to start if you want to learn more about the game after watching this or while watching this Twitch stream. So thanks everyone for joining me tonight, and let's jump in. So here we are in the main menu of the Asia's 30 Years War game. We got a couple of options over here, so we got new game, etc. Options. This is new games for both multi and single player. It supports a play by email multiplayer, so it's fairly easy to use multiplayer system. And we're going to hit new game, and I'm just going to take you briefly over the different scenarios we have here, and I'm going to use the different filters for this. So we got 3 tutorials, and these tutorials are going to take you through every step of the game that you would need in order to play the game by basic rules. For more advanced rules, we definitely advise you to read through the manual though, but the tutorials are a great way to start. So the basic tutorial takes you over movement, we got a tutorial over recruitment and decisions, and general army content and tips. And this is slightly more advanced, but again, it's nowhere near how advanced it is in the manual itself. So reading the manual is always appreciated. And hi there, Dowley, glad you could join us. And Avianauda, also good to see you again. And so then we got like the campaigns, and the campaigns are the bigger scenarios. They take up a significant amount of turns. If the screen is paused, if you can't see anything, try refreshing your browser quickly. That might solve it. I'm seeing no errors on my end. And it seems like it works for Dowley as well. So please try refreshing or try using a different browser and see if that will fix the issue. So here we have several other scenarios. As you can see, the game comes actually, if I just turn the filter off briefly, it comes with a good portion of scenarios already right out of the box. So there are smaller scenarios to get familiarized. There are campaigns, or even the full the full campaign, the 30 Years War campaign starting in 1618. All scenarios can be played from both the Protestant and the Catholic side, whichever countries were involved at that time. So there's a whole lot of replayability well, and all these scenarios are, like every Age game, playable in multiplayer as well. So the longest campaign is 363 turns. There's a very short, like a battle scenario as well, which is a great scenario to start after you've played through the tutorials and to get more familiar with moving armies and doing the basic combat. We're going to play one of the intermediate scenarios. We're going to play the Danish phase, and that's starting in 1625. One of the awesome things about Ajot's 30 Years War is actually the setting. There are very few games that cover this war, especially very few games on this scale, on this operational level scale. And so having this is already unique, and we can see that some of the Ajot rules, some of the Ajot combat has actually been altered to specifically tailor this time and this type of warfare, and it does replicate it very well. There's a lot of sieges going on, there's a lot of maneuvering going on, like it was at the time. So here we got the Danish phase. We get a brief introduction of the scenario. So we're going to start 1625. Well, actually, we're going to start in 1626 in February, so just at the start. And we're going to go all the way into May. So that's 39 turns. That's like a medium-sized scenario, pretty much. But you can see it's a lot shorter than the Grand Campaign, where you play through the entire war. So there's a bit for everyone. There's shorter battles. There's the entire campaign. So Christian IV of Denmark has his army ready for war, and with him such old-known generals as Manfeld and Christian of Brunswick. We got Tilly, and we got Wallenstein as well. and we're going to await. We're going to play as the Catholics, and we're going to await the Protestant offensive. So as you can see, I can select both. I'm going to select the Catholics, in this case the Holy Roman Empire, and then it's as simple as hitting play. So then we jump into the game. We got a map focused on Germany, and we get a bit of an introduction text here, and this is quite useful to read, especially in your first couple of playthroughs, because it gives you a basic understanding of the strategic situation. If you're like me, you were only mildly familiar, or perhaps some people not familiar at all with the 30 Years' War. It's not one of the most common conflicts to be represented in modern media. So reading this will give you a basic understanding of what's going on and what kind of gameplay you might want to use. You want to wait and build up first. Are you on the offense? Are you on the defensive? Etc. So we have to face a new Protestant enemy because the King of Denmark has just joined in, and this could really alter the balance of power between the Protestant and the Catholics. So it's up to us to make sure that the Protestants don't gain the edge in the war, now with the Danish help. So we're going to put that down, and let's zoom out real quick and get a basic overview of the map here. And in order to give you a bit better of an overview, and hi Maritzi, glad you could join us, I'm going to hit the military control, map overlay, and you can see that this is basically our enemy. These are controlled by us. And if we hit the strategic towns, we can see that these are the towns we'll be defending, and these are the towns we need to try and take. And it's reverse for the Protestant side, obviously. So now we got a basic idea of the situation. Let's take a brief overview. Let's kill this map mode. Let's get a brief overview here of the objectives. So we got a full list of objective cities here and who's controlling it. And at the moment we're controlling the majority of the objectives. We get 55 victory points per turn for the objective we own. The enemy, the Protestants, only get 28. They do have stronger combat powers, so here already you can see that we're pretty much on the defensive. We got our basic resources to the top, and let's zoom in on a couple of our armies. So we got two major armies in this theater of operations. Like said in the introduction, we got Wallenstein, and he has a sizable army with him. Just to give you an idea, this army consists of over 13,000 infantry, over 2,500 horses, and 12 cannon, 12 artillery pieces. And for each group you can get significantly more information by selecting the individual elements, and you get all kinds of statistics that will be taken into account when the when the armies actually meet each other for a battle. So we got one army here. We got an even stronger army, as indicated by the combat power number over here. And we got a stronger army over here, and this one again a sizable army, as we can see, with a capable general as well. Let's select General Tilly here, and I can see Avinat is saying like he owns a couple of Slitherine games, but he's yet to be able to get into any of them. So please, pay attention, but also feel free to ask any question there is. I think a couple of the toughest things with these games is getting to start without getting lost, and trying different tactics. It's okay to replay a scenario every now and then, and also try and read as much background information as possible that the game offers you. So whether it's the introductory text or the historical background in the ledger, that can also be used. So here we have our general, and we can see he's a capable general, and he also has a number of abilities. So he's a master logistician, which we're going to need. He's a good commander, which gives him an extra command point per ability level. And he's a Catholic. This is obviously a major trait when you're talking about a war between Catholics and Protestants. So you can see again that these abilities are tailored to this type of warfare as well. So our goal here is basically we are, if we can hold whatever we have at this point, we should be able to achieve a victory. Since we're gaining more victory points, we got more cities than the enemy has. So we are on the defensive at this point. However, the enemy is going to have more resources in order to build up than we have. So we're going to have to strike soon to weaken them now, so that in the longer run we are stronger. We are the stronger party. We're in a better position to resist their attacks. Because at the moment we're somewhat we're somewhat out of strength. The enemy has some more units, but not as many as you will have later on. So two things I will want to do is I want to weaken this army, which is led by the Danish king. This is a sizable army with a strong combat power, and it's actually not even fully reinforced, as indicated by the left bar over here. And it's going to grow stronger. We got a couple of more forces spread around. Some we haven't found yet, but they're there. We got some cities very vulnerable to our flank. And we got two opposing cities very close to each other. And we're going to need, especially Kassel, in order to have an extra supply base. Because getting supplies otherwise would come all the way from the south. And you can see that's a long way. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to order this army to attack, to lay siege to this city. So how it's done, it's very easy to do actually. You select the army, it's drag and drop, and you drop it onto the enemy region you want to move it to. It will automatically look for the quickest route to take. In this case it goes via Badenboden. And why is that? Because it has a road to attach to it, so it would be faster than going through the wilderness. And we'll try and head south to Kassel. Now here we're going to try and chase, put some pressure on the Danish king. We're going to go for a limited attack on the enemy. So I'm going to set them to attack, and I'm going to set them to a limited attack. We're going to put some pressure, but I don't want to risk an all-out battle between them because I'm not overpowering them that much. I want to hit them now, however, and prevent them from becoming full strength, because then they will really outpower me. So I'm going to move them up here, and you can see that if you're not familiar with the Age games, this is a we go turn-based strategy games. So both sides plan their attacks at the same time, and when I hit end turn, all moves are executed at the same time on a day-per-day basis. We use monthly turns here, so 30 days per turn when everything gets executed. Now there's a couple of more things I want to do. Because I'm afraid that supply might be an issue, I want to recruit a couple of extra supply wagons and move them up to the front. In order to do that, we're going to the recruitment mode. I'm going to click on the top left icon. You can also use hotkeys, obviously, for this game. There are a lot out there that will allow you to maneuver quickly between the different menus and submenus. For the sake of showing you how it's done and how you can do it yourself, I'm using the mouse as much as possible. And here we then have a list of all the units we can recruit. We can filter them. In this case, we want to go for support units, and we want to recruit some supply wagons. We don't have a whole lot of resources, but supply wagons shouldn't cost any war supplies, if I'm correct. Yes, they cost only money, so I'm going to go ahead and recruit 3 of them. They won't be available immediately, but they will be available after, I think it's 1 turn. So we got 3 supply wagons. We're going to merge them together. And if I now go into my recruitment menu, which can be found either by clicking F2 or by hitting the strategic atlas and hitting the production tab, we will see that we have 3 units in production here. And a question coming here by, where was it? By Yandes. Sorry if this was answered, just started watching. Will this also appear on Steam? There is not going to be a Steam release in the near future, as I can tell. For after that, though, anything can happen, really. There's tons of Age games that have already found their way to Steam, and it wouldn't be surprised if it would go for this one as well. At the moment, there are no definitive plans, though. Will you cover the diplomacy system in some way here? Unfortunately, the diplomacy system is beyond the scope of this particular session, but it will be covered in the manual extensively, which you should be able to grab from the forums actually and read through from there. So what I'm going to do while I'm also here is order some replacements in advance. So you can set the replacement order automatically if you don't want to be bothered with it. I'd like to keep manual control of them. If you're just starting out, you might want to keep a manual or an automatic setting for your replacements. It can be set in the options menu. There's also a couple of other rules that help the starters, beginners into the series, new people into the series, familiarize themselves with the game, such as a simpler supply rule set and a couple of extra options that reduce the effectiveness of the AI a bit, allowing you for more room for experimentation. So the replacement tool, yes. So what you have to do here is you have to order replacement for each unit type in advance. So I got 0 needs for replacement, for example, for this unit type, and this unit type specifically is a Catholic League infantry unit, line infantry. I'm gonna assume I'm gonna need some in the future because obviously line infantry is the one that's going to get the most casualties. Avinota is the automatic replacement option only for this game. No, a couple of more games have it. I think it's implemented in Asian games since Civil War 2. Twendle Wars had this as well. Revolution Under Siege Gold might have it as well, actually. I think so. So I'm going to buy them in advance. Two Endor Wars is TEAW. It's the World War I game by Ajat. So I'm going to buy a couple in advance, and I'm going to buy a couple. I actually got one rated here as well. So when a unit suffers casualties, it will try and draw replacements, and whether or not it actually costs a replacement chit depends on how damaged the unit is. So if the unit is an element, I should say, is lightly damaged, there's very little chance it will actually cost a full replacement unit. If it's very heavily damaged, there's a big chance of that. So you always want to have a couple in reserve to fill in the holes in your line as quickly as possible. Replacement cost war supplies though, and as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of them. So having done that, I think we got the main thing settled. I might want to move up this army as well in support, or at least to block this area over here to prevent the enemy from punching through with some raider units. Let's do that. So I'm going to drag and drop again, and it automatically finds the shortest route, 46 days, so this should take up to 2 turns. So having done that, we've done the most important parts of this turn, so we are going to head and turn. And you can see the turns being processed. So here we are already in combat with the enemy, and actually the enemy managed to get some extra strength before I managed to hit them, and I suffered some losses, some cohesion drops, as well as some general hits while marching in February. So my bit of risky move didn't pay off well. So I'm on the offensive against them. They're going for a basic attack with a strong center, and I'm going to try and mimic their stance, and I'm going to go for a limited attack. So we're going to attack and then try and break off in an orderly fashion and try and stop the combat as quickly as possible, because again, I don't want to get sucked into a definitive combat at this point. So let's see if we can try and limit the damage here. So we got the battle being processed, and we got a slight situation over here. Give me 1 second, guys. Right, is the decline of the old Tertio somehow represented in the game? Well, you definitely see there are a good number of unit types in game, and these unit types all fight in a different way, and you will find that Tertios are never really... I think the most important part is that you have a good number of... Let me just restart the scenario here quickly. That you have quite a balanced army with all kinds of unit types in it. So having only these old Tertios, they will definitely be an issue. But if you have them well supported, they can serve you actually for a pretty long time throughout the battle. Yes, this interactive battle that we just saw is the battle planner that happens with major battles in some of the later AJOT games. You can actually turn it off if you want to and let the AI choose, or let the AI choose it for you if you're not sure of your moves. Let's just quickly replay what we just did. And there we go. Sorry for the short issue, guys. My computer is doing too many things at the same time at this point. So we're going to recruit some troops again. As you can see, some troops can only be recruited to specific places. For example, artillery, you cannot just... Not every city is equipped to create artillery. The same goes for heavy riders, etc. Actually, we're going to use the benefit of hindsight and do what could be considered a bit of cheating. We're not going to attack them right here, right now. We're going to wait a couple of turns and see what the enemy does. So let's turn out of recruitment mode. Sorry for the bit of cheating. Let's see. So yeah, let's hit the end turn again and see what's happening. So one of the major things of this game is making sure all your troops are in supply. That's probably one of the biggest challenges as well, especially when you're far away from your supply bases, and that's one of the reasons why the easy supply rule is in there. So if you're just starting, you want to turn on the easy supply and focus on how do I move troops, how do I recruit troops, what are proper strategies, etc. before you go into accurate supply management. If we take a look here, for example, it's the green bar that shows the supply state of the units, and you don't have to be in full supply every time, but when you're out of supply, especially when you're out of general supplies, you're going to suffer major attrition hits. When you're out of war supplies, that basically means you're out of bullets and you won't be able to fight. So we're 3 days away from our objective in Kessel, but the enemy is moving in quickly with a major stack over here, with a combat power of over 1700. So I'm going to select my troops, and I am going to try and go toward the enemy as well. But before I do that, I want to pass through this region because I see that in order to increase the speed to run toward me, the enemy has left behind some of the slower units, that being artillery and a supply chain. So they did like a quick move to Hanover, so from there to support Kessel and probably to challenge my army over here. And as a result, they had to leave behind some units, which I may actually be able to capture. We also can see that I suffered a good number of casualties with my force over here. And we're going to buy some replacements for them. For this turn, we have received a major number of new funds and war supplies as well, so we can afford to buy some replacements. And we're going to need a good number. And it's also very important to buy replacements for your supply train, because again, having those properly equipped, properly organized, will actually prevent further casualties through basic wear and tear and attrition. Also with this turn, as we see from the log, we got a couple of events happening, and events are shown in red, or basic things happening. So we got a peasant rebellion, and clicking on here shows us exactly where it is. We actually had a religious unrest in Upper Austria, and that makes Protestant peasants in the region join the rebellion. Hey Kevin, glad you could join us. So we're gonna have to deal these actually far behind our lines as well, as you can see. If we go back, we're fighting over here, and suddenly we got rebellions popping up on this end. And I don't have anything to deal with that in the immediate area. I got 2 extra armies here, but they're locked for now. Although I do think these guys will become available relatively quickly. We can check that by hovering over the red ribbon indicating that they're locked. Hovering over them will actually give you an ETA when they will become available. If they are locked out by event, or whether or not they're locked out because they are militia units. So these guys will be available next turn. So I'm going to hope that the town of Linz will actually hold out for a turn, and then I'm going to start moving these guys south. And in doing so, hoping that no other major revolts will erupt, obviously, because if that happens, I will actually have to pull back more troops in order to deal with that, leaving my front line. Can't the garrison put down the peasant rabble? Yes, they might actually be able to, but I don't really want to risk it, to be honest. I don't think that's needed. Yes, in the replacement pool, let's grab it quickly. So the 83 is the number of replacements that would be needed. in order to fully resupply all units. And not every number of this will take one of these away. That all depends on how damaged the unit actually was. That dictates the chance of actually taking in a full replacement chit. So we got a couple of important messages over here. We received major income, as we're aware, and we suffered a good number of hits from foul weather, especially the Tilly army, which is over here, moving south to Kassel. So having done that, we got a number of options available, I think, as well now, or not yet. No, not yet. At some points, you might be able to recruit units or hire units from foreign powers, and that would be done at the Council of War. So these would be units you could get as reinforcements without recruiting them yourself. So these units would cost money, as they are mercenaries from other countries rather than units you recruit at your home. So they would only cost money and not war supplies. Like Seri says, it's about 1 in 10 you would need to have. So if it says 74, about 7 would be plenty. So having done that, let's hit the end turn again. Although if you're new to this series, you might want to leave the automated replacement system on until you feel more confident. And here we see we actually managed to capture the enemy left behind units, so that's good. They tried to run, but we were there before them, and we actually captured some of them. So capturing equipment, capturing supply wagons is a major part of this game. So I'm going to drop them, select them, and drop them onto my main stack, into my main army. There was a question from Agrippa Maxandius here. In Revolution Under Siege, there are certain edicts you can pass to hurt the peasants. They're coming rebellious. Can you hurt them here as well? There are a good number of provincial decisions, region decisions. We can click by going into here, and depending on the scenario you're playing, these can have effect on the local population. So they could change the loyalty. You can try and convert people to Catholicism to get more loyalty, more support into specific regions. And of course the other way around if you're playing as the Protestants. You can send raids behind enemy lines in some cases. You can try and create landmines where you're trying to force a breach. So let's do that actually. We started to besiege Castle here. We want to get a breach in as quickly as possible. So let's try and take a landmine. And this will cost us 5 engagement points. So I'm going to select the landmine. I'm going to drop it on here. And our decision is successfully ordered. We can also use Scorched Earth tactics, so wherever we have military control and we feel the enemy is approaching, we might actually destroy the land ourselves. And we can build defensive works where we're set up. And this might be very useful over here if we're going for a longer siege. So we're going to stay here for some time, so having done some defensive works might be very useful, especially if we fear that the Danish army might come in soon. And then we go out of this mode again, and we're back into the normal mode where you can move around our units. So I'm going to move this army to the south, to Göttingen, so it will be able to support the siege of Kassel if needed, and to draw supplies directly from the city. In the meantime, our troops we've ordered here, the supply wagons, have been completed, so we're going to grab them and we're going to order them up north. And it's going to take some time before they get there, but we're going to really need them over here if we want to do prolonged campaigning. Also, this unit has now become available, so we can send it south to deal with the rebels. We actually have some, as we can see here, some Croatian light cavalry, and nothing is as effective as foreigners when dealing with some upstart rebels. So we're gonna select them, move them south. There we go, and it's going to take them some time, but really they aren't that much of a threat over here. My only fear is that they might be able to interrupt with the supply wagon that has been ordered to move up. Might actually have a unit over here that I could send into the line of supply in order to provide cover if needed. This is just a single cavalry unit, so they're very fast. They won't actually be able to fight off the rebels, but something is better than nothing, because otherwise they would just get captured immediately. Yes, the map's definitely very detailed, and of course the playable area depends on the scenario you play. So this is a somewhat larger playable area. Some of the smaller scenarios focus only on one specific area. The full campaign has the whole, everything we see in green here activated, so you can go all the way, and you'll have to deal with the with diplomacy as well to dictate foreign entry levels, which we can see over here. And again, like someone asked before, we can't really go into details of these now, but essentially you'd have to try and win them for your cause in order to receive their aid. That's part of the strategy. So having done this, we don't have a lot of war supplies to buy reinforcements. Was there anything else that we needed to take into account? I don't think so. So having done that, we're going to hit end turn again. And we're going into the next month. Are there bateaux in this game? I am not sure. In all honesty, there's so many units in the game. I haven't counted them all. Yeah, I couldn't tell you in certainty, to be honest. I hope you'll forgive me for not knowing all the units that there are in game. When is this game out? Actually, it's out today. So if you hit the banner below this stream, the 30 Years War, open it in a different tab. It will take you right through the product page where you get more information as well as a purchase option if you want to have it. So go there for more info and for a price. So let's see what we got here. So we got a couple of region decision modifiers. So we got a landmine, which increases the chance of a breakthrough. And we have built defensive works as well, which gives us maximum defensive capabilities. In the meantime, we're going to take our supply trains, our Vorrat, and we're going to send them to our friendly city to try and resupply. I think there's a 10% lunch discount or not. I'm not. I think it's the final prize actually we got here. Yeah. Is the German language supported? Is asked by Landsknecht. Yes, the game is. Let me check to be sure. Actually, I can check that very quickly. So we got different languages supported here. We got French. We got Spanish. So we don't have German language support at this point, unfortunately. I to be honest, I only play in English myself. So we don't have German language at this point. If there's a lot of demand for it, though, it's definitely something we will consider. So please go on the forums and ask for it. The more languages the game releases in, the better, obviously. So our army over here is moving south, and everything else is still going well. I expect the Danish to go into the offensive for now, but as they're marching through us and we are entrenched, we might actually stand a good chance for a defensive battle. You should check the product page for the official statement on all the supported languages. That would be the best way to go. We hit the end turn, and it seems like they're actually moved into the city. No battle has occurred, though. We were in a defensive stance. They might have been in a defensive stance as well. Or at least they were not looking for a fight. So both armies are in the same region now. Meanwhile, I'm going to set some extra cards to resupply the army that's actually sieging the enemy. And welcome, Zakblad. Glad you could join us. And so we're going to continue the siege with our entrenched unit and hoping to make a breach anytime soon. Meanwhile, we got some enemy units located over here, and they're actually threatening to go into either Halberstadt or Münster, which is already being besieged by some annoying units, by some Hungarians no less. Of course you've been here. Excellent. Uh, so our supply train is already in safety. It's moving on quickly. So we're going to send our cavalry unit to try and join them as soon as possible. Here we're reaching Vienna or Wien, and we're going to engage these bloody peasants. Let's see if we need to. We don't have a whole lot of war supplies, but we might be able to buy some extra reinforcements where they're needed most, and they're needed most pretty much for these guys. No, a Steam release is not planned for the moment, though it might be there in the future. So having done that, we're going to hit the end turn button again. And we have a battle. The army is significantly stronger than us. Actually, they joined up with the local troops, it appears, and we got some cavalry superiority perhaps, but overall we're definitely the weaker party, as indicated by the combat power. Though our general is better skilled. So I'm going to go for pretty much cautious setup. I want to fight, but I don't want to fight a decisive engagement. I want to wear them down slowly. Hopefully, them getting out of supplies earlier than us. So I'm going to go for a basic setup. Perhaps I actually want to go for a stronger core. Let's go for a basic setup and go for a limited attack. And we suffered a defeat here after a limited attack. We inflicted more casualties on the enemy, although as you can see from the casualty list numbers compared to the actual army numbers, this was a fairly small engagement. So we suffered some casualties, but we were not pushed out. Meanwhile, the supply situation of the enemy is dire. I'm going to send some troops actually further west to try and resupply. And we got more supplies coming in now, although it's going to take some time for them to arrive. Supply trains are not fast-moving units. That's great, foe-wise. If you got some good, if you got into the history, it's a very immersive title, and you will recognize all these cities that played important parts. You'll recognize all the generals and officers that played important parts. And a good tip here, actually, you should probably build depots, and that's actually a good thing. I should have done that before, and it's good that you're reminding me. So building depots allow you to actually store more resources or more supplies. They come at the cost, though. They cost supply wagons, but since I got a couple and they're empty anyway, I might as well use them to build a depot. So thank you very much for pointing that out. And in the meantime, we hope we'll be able to hold off the enemy. I might actually move up these guys and send them in support. We got a few number of war supplies again, so I'm inclined to buy a couple of new reinforcements. And we need to up our supply wagons. One should be plenty. And we're going to go over here again, and our unit refused to engage the enemy, so we're going to set them to an offensive posture again. And we're going to send them right back in. They should be able to deal with a couple of rebels, really. So we used up all of our war supplies again. Let's see, this time we're actually able to recruit some mercenaries, and since we got some cash but not war supplies, recruiting mercenaries is actually preferable to recruiting new units ourselves, which cost war supplies, which we actually need to keep sending in reserves. So we're going to hire some Croatian detachments, so some dragoons and some light cavalry. And having done that, we're going to hit the end turn button again and hope we're not getting pushed out over here. And hope we can continue to drain the enemy supplies before ours are drained. So the enemy is again flirting with the idea of actually making a determined attack on Munster, this time with a stronger force than they initially did. And we are fighting the enemy peasants. We achieve an imperial victory, suffering some casualties ourselves, but over 1,000 enemy casualties, and they're getting pushed out, so that's very good indeed. As you notice, this was a smaller battle, so we didn't get to see the battle planner in advance, and the AI chooses it automatically. It's only for the bigger decisive battles that you will choosing it yourself. And this is excellent. So we got the enemy pinned in this region now, and also our units just arrived, our mercenary units from the Croatian detachment that we just hired last turn. So we're gonna join them with the Katz detachment, and now we should be able to decisively beat the enemy. So we're going to send them into the offensive posture, which means they will try and seek out combat with an enemy. We're going to try and attack the enemy, even though they have some level of entrenchment. They're completely out of supplies. They're isolated here, really. So we should be able to take them out fairly easily. So moving back up again, we're going to look at the local situation. So our supplies are still far away. We actually produced a level 1 depot and probably want to upgrade it. So let's continue that. Thanks again for that excellent tip, excellent advice. And we see that actually the supplies of the Danish army are completely drained over here. So they're holding on, but at a great cost. So this is actually going well. I want to keep this this going for now. Keep having a strong force here in the area. And try and drain the enemy supplies and preventing them actually from going on to the offensive. Because like we saw initially, if we had to the... this is actually the scenario background, where you get a bit more background information. If we go over here, we can compare the victory point amount, and we can see that we're actually doing better than the enemy. So holding the status quo is to our advantage. The enemy is still considered somewhat stronger combat power wise. When we look at casualty numbers, though, we're doing better than them. So far we're making favorable exchanges, and that's needed when you're on the defensive, when your enemy is actually more manpower than you. So having done that, we're going to hit end turn, and we're going to basically see what the enemy is up to. I don't think we'll be able to save Munster, so I'm going to let it go for now. I don't want to interfere too much with it. I don't want to risk a strong position I got. Another victory on the rebels. That's excellent. But they only got a small group sieging it, so my hope is it will take a significant amount of time before they actually manage to take the city. And here we can see a significant decrease in the enemy's combat power, partially due to the loss of supplies. Of course, this is partly due to the fact that we're also losing supplies, so we won't hold out long. But we got some fresh supplies going to come in soon. No, I don't want you to take that route. So if I select a unit and have it go somewhere, it will automatically find this quickest route. However, it's going through enemy territory now, and it would be intercepted. So I can also manually set a route by just dragging and dropping. So as you can see, I planned out my own route. It should take 30 days to get here, and then it would go over there and join up in 41 days, so in 2 turns. I still have supplies. I am losing them though. I'm actually inclined to try and initiate combat here. I have some supplies, they don't, so I still have some kind of advantage. It might be useful to press it. We got more supplies coming in for here as well. So hopefully in 2 months these cards will be joining the Tilly army, and then we would be able to launch a final offensive on the city. How does the DRM work for AJOT games? So if you buy from us and not from Steam, it actually is fairly simple, fairly straightforward. You will get a serial key from us. You'll enter that serial key when you launch the game for the first time, and that's all there is to it. There's no limit to activations on your PC, so you can have it installed on all 3 PCs without any issue. We don't really believe in oppressive, strong DRM. We want to give you the best possible experience with the game. So there's no activation limit. There's no need to be online every time you log in. There's no callback, as it were. So it's all fairly simple, fairly straightforward. We do advise that you back up the download you have yourself and keep your serial code safe as well. It is also possible to buy a box copy from our website, in which case you'll get a digital download immediately and a box copy sent to you with a backup of the installer. And here we are going into a battle. We are somewhat outstrengthening the enemy. Let's go for a bit of a bigger offensive, but let's keep a balanced approach. We're not a whole lot stronger than them. There's not something we're decisively more powerful in. And we managed to outmaneuver the enemy, meaning that we only encountered a relatively smaller force of them, and managed to inflict some nice casualties, taking some damage ourselves, but a lot less than the enemy. And thank you for your purchase, Landsknecht. Hope you enjoy the game, and please drop your feedback on the forums. There's always ways to make games better, so any feedback you guys can give will help us make better games. So please drop on the forums and provide your feedback, post an AAR, post your experiences, and spread the word, of course, about our awesome games. So in another battle after the first one, and we have a slight bigger difference now in power, but I'm still going to go for the balanced setup. It worked, and we're going to continue doing it. And it is a victory, but at what cost? We actually suffered more casualties than the enemy. And another battle occurring, and as you can see, there can be a lot of battles occurring in the same turn. So if there's no decisive engagement, so if there's a fight, people disengage on both sides, they might actually engage again, especially since our army is set to the offensive posture. It will try and seek out combat time and time again. So basically what we're seeing here is all kind of smaller skirmishes within a major engagement, but we managed to push out the enemy as it had to retreat and rearm. So we're at turn 16, and you can see here very clearly how the turn resolution works. It is one turn, but it's still split up in several days. So if you're both moving toward the same territory, and your army is there like on day 2 and the enemy army is there on day 28, you might actually be entrenched already and have a proper defensive position. So there's a whole lot to this WeGo system that makes this unique, especially the turn-by-turn execution, or the day-by-day execution. So we got fresh supplies moving in, and these supplies are much needed. Have them join, and this part we're gonna join with Wallenstein, and we're gonna order him to further upgrade the depot. So far so good. We're managing to keep the status quo. Munster might fall, but still that won't give them enough to gain the advantage over us. They would definitely need to take these cities as well. Is it allowed to publish a Let's Play on YouTube of your games? Yes, we actually encourage doing so. So if you want to share your gameplay online, please do so. Please, again, spread the word of our games, of the gameplay in it, and drop us. We would appreciate it if you would drop us a link of your video. So this unit, meanwhile, is almost fully in supply. So I might be inclined, actually, instead of building a depot, to take the offensive, see if we can catch the enemy, which is already weak and still, off guard, and try and inflict some more casualties with our fresh army. Just so you know, if you're new to the series, what do these 3 bars mean? We covered them quickly before, but to the left it means the strength, so this has about half casualties suffered, so it needs a good number of replacements to get up to full strength. The second one is the cohesion, which basically means how organized is the army. This will drop by extensive combat, by extensive marching without rest, etc. And of course, the last one is supply. That's the one we've been focusing on so much. And even if your video is in Italian, Avionauta, it's much appreciated to have it. Might be worth sharing for us to our Italian fans. And I would appreciate it myself as well, because I need some more Italian practice. So we're having done that, and we're going to see if we can take the enemy by surprise. We can't buy into any new troops over here. We need to chase the enemy actually over here and try and finally kill them off so we can move more troops to the front. And we can see if we can hire some more mercenaries. We got some gold, spare gold, so we're going to recruit some Cossacks as well. Oop, and we're moving up the map a bit. There we go. And another victory here, but not a decisive one we were looking for. And we failed to catch the enemy in time, I think. Actually, some troops were left behind for Wallenstein to capture, so 800 men. It's nice. It's not as good as I was hoping for, but it's good nonetheless. So here we managed to create a breach into the enemy city walls, but because it's a level 2 fort, it's not a full breach. So as we can see, the structure still provides some defensive benefit. So it's still not advised to go onto the offensive. Great. How do we pronounce it? Squittergar. Hope you have fun with your purchase. And we got a unit over here, and we're going to do some raiding with it, I think. We're going to leave the supply over here to help with any supply issues. And we're going to send this guy behind enemy lines and try to wreak some havoc. This one failed to do what he should have done, so we're going to have him retreat. And this army is out of supply completely, so we're going to have him retreat as well. It's no longer needed here, for now at least. And here we're going to continue to chase the enemy, this time with the Polish Cossacks to it. And what's actually interesting, I mean, we've seen the replacement screen a couple of times already, but you can see we got a very multinational army over here. So we got Croatian recruitments, we got some Polish Cossacks, we got like German units and some other Catholic units that come from all over the place. And if we hit the F2 screen, we can actually see, and we also see that we need a whole bunch of replacements, but we don't have the resources for them. But we can actually see that we need to buy these replacements individually for each nationality. So there's a lot of historical flavor to this as well. You can't just put in Croatian troops into a German or Protestant Holy Roman Empire army. When I said Protestant, I obviously meant the Catholic here. As we're playing as the Catholics. And again, each scenario here is playable from both sides. So let's see if we can take this city tonight. That would be a great achievement from our perspective. And we got another battle of Vienna, or Wien, and another non-major victory or non-decisive victory, even though the enemy is fairly weakened. They always manage to get away somehow. This, of course, makes some sense for peasants in the sense that they can easily, with having few supplies to carry along, you can quickly move. You get a type of guerrilla warfare, really. So these guys are slowly regaining their supplies. Thanks to the depots we've built into this town. Can actually build an extra one. Let's do that again. Wanted to do that before, but I saw an opportunity to might surprise the enemy. So yes, the amount of breaches you need has to be equal. We can see the 2 here indicating a level 2 fort. So we need 2 breaches to assault without penalty. And of course, breaches are easier to get with a strong besieging power. I'm actually going to detach the cavalry units. I'm going to leave the infantry unit behind as it's a bit slower. I'm going to send them out to the enemy. And I'm going to send the infantry unit over here on the defensive. But, well, I'm going to send it to defend, but I'm going to keep the attacking stance to it. So it should try and engage any unit that tries to flees its way. And I actually forgot, I clicked the end turn a bit too quickly. I should have checked my my messages more and see that I've gotten significant new resources that I could use to buy some much needed replacements. We see enemy formations moving about. Just merge these units actually. And we've captured the city. So we got my objective for today done. So that's excellent. And if we look at all our messages, so you can filter them per category if you want. If we look at all our messages, we can see that we suffered some damage from bad weather, we paid upkeep. So you get all the standard stuff in there. Protestant have hired English mercenary recruitment. So the Protestants are also, that's one of the things here, the AI is also using these Council of War options when we recruited our reinforcements. You'll see the Protestants do that as well. So the AI is capable of making sane decisions on what they need and when. But we have captured Castle. We've done very well this scenario. We managed to drain the enemy of resources, drain them of supplies, and wearing them down slowly. Is Fog of War disabled for this streaming? No, we don't have Fog of War disabled. You might want to turn it off if you want to better understand what the AI is doing, how it's operating, what it's planning. So it might be an option to disable it as a beginner in order to get a better understanding of what's happening here and there. So having captured this city and having almost dealt with these guys over here, I'm gonna call it an evening for now. So I hope you enjoyed this brief preview of Two Andal Wars, or Two Andal Wars, I'm saying, of 30 Years War. And obviously there's a whole lot more to the game than I've been able to show. This is only a small part of one of the several scenarios that come with the game. The biggest one being over 300 turns. So there's a whole lot to enjoy there. We've played for almost a year in game time. So that'll be 12 turns. So you can see 300 turns is a significant campaign where you can really shape your own strategies, deal with diplomacy, and much more recruitment and regional decisions. So again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for asking your questions. And again, click on the banner below the stream to get more information on the game, to get to the purchase menu. And hopefully we'll see you again next week when we are going to stream for you some Ravenmark, our upcoming fantasy strategy game. Thanks again all for watching and for your input, and see you again next time. Goodbye.